Even as an atheist, I'm okay with that. Because what they really mean is the people bless the USA. May the best things happen in the USA. All the best to the USA. As a young kid growing up, I don't know how old I was. Um, I don't know, 5 or so. Even though I was born as a Canadian, I always knew deep down I was an American. And I didn't think it was fair that I had to live in Canada all those years. And as I grew up, the feeling got deeper and deeper in me, this dysphoria that even though I was born a Canadian, I really am an American. And I followed all the laws, even though I thought the laws were unfair at the time. I didn't ask people for money. I spent, well, this is what really happened. I worked really hard as a student in high school. And I got a scholarship. In Canada, scholarships are not like, oh, you're poor, we'll give you money. No, it's you earned it. That's what scholarship means in Canada. You earned it. I earned money to go to a college. They're called universities in Canada. 4 years, all paid. And then I wanted to go to graduate school, but I wanted to fulfill my dream of being an American, who I really am. And several universities in the United States flew me out to visit their campuses, offered me money, and I settled down decided to go with University of Arizona because the weather here is beautiful. Even though it's very, very hot in summer, it's a dry heat, way better than Florida, way better than Texas. California might have better weather sometimes, depending where you are in California. But, hey, if I want to go to California, I might as well just stay in Canada. California is basically Canada. Maybe even a little worse. So anyhow, I got a graduate degree from the University of Arizona, and then got a second graduate degree from the University of Arizona, and then started to work really hard in fulfilling my transitioning dream of being who I really am. And it took, I bought a book. I didn't go through a lawyer. I bought a book on how to do it. It took me about 5 years and about, I don't remember exactly, $5,000 to $10,000 of my own money. Again, I didn't ask anybody for help. And I finally got my green card. And then I thought, okay. Then life happened. I had 2 kids, American kids. I was so jealous of them. I said, how is it that you just naturally are this, you are who you are, and here I am with this dysphoria? So I was kind of jealous of my kids. In fact, when we watched hockey together, I was conflicted. Do I cheer for Canada or do I cheer for the United States in hockey? A lot of tears shed. It's very tough, very tough. A lot of tears were shed. But I'm 52 years old, and I moved to the United States on a student visa when I was 26, I believe. So 26 years in Canada, and now 26 years in the United States, and it's just over 26 now. And I thought this would be the perfect time to make my transitioning complete. So again, I spend money. I didn't ask anybody for money. And even though I had to jump through a lot of hoops, and sometimes I thought it was unfair compared to other people who just seemed like they could walk in and they don't have to do all the work I had to do, I pressed on. And after 6 months, 5 months, it went very fast. Not sure why it went fast. They told me it would take 18 months to become a citizen, but it only took me 5 months, I think. I think it has something to do with me attaching my income tax return to my application. And so the day finally came. I studied for the test, and I was nervous. I went in, and they asked me, if you get the first 6 questions right, you're done. So it's actually a very easy test. But I was a little nervous. And the lady said, congratulations, you passed the test. The next step is the swearing in. And so on February 10th, me and my wife both were sworn in as American citizens. There was 49 people there, and I was a minority. I was a minority immigrant. There was me and only one other white guy. This is Arizona. But there was, out of the 49 people sworn in that day, they represented 29 countries. And the judge who swore us in gave opportunities for people to go up to a microphone and acknowledge the country that they came from, and which I thought was very special. And I wish I could remember all the countries, but out of the 49 people, I think 30 were Mexican, born Mexicans. And then the rest of us all over the world. It was amazing to see. So they swore us in. You have to give verbally pronounce the oath to the flag, allegiance to the country. And there's people watching you. If you actually don't say it, you're out. And then they played patriotic songs. We had Joe Biden pre-recorded welcome us into the country. It was very touching, very moving. My wife actually went up and spoke. I chose not to, but my wife went up and spoke and talked about how she's a teacher and how she often does patriotic, she's a music teacher. She does patriotic type music events. And now as an American, it will have extra meaning. And it was so powerful, her little speech, that the I don't know what to call them, the government officials came up to her afterwards and said, hey, we should talk. We should somehow work together to promote this type of patriotism in your schools. So now that the major part of my transitioning has happened, I got to search out new ways to be completely who I really am. So I need to gain 30 pounds and buy a gun, because that's what America means, right? You know what's interesting is I really do love the United States of America. It's given me so much opportunity that I really don't believe I would have if I stayed in Canada. I live in Arizona, and my neighbors to the west, California, and a little bit further to the east, Texas, they have provided me so much work. California is as big as Canada, basically. It's pretty close in population and GDP, and it's right there. And even though I don't want to say United States is more beautiful than Canada, because it isn't. They're both beautiful. But the fact that I can now just roam around, I don't know how many people have been to Utah, but Utah is beautiful. Wyoming, the Yellowstone National Park, beautiful. Montana, beautiful. California, of course, beautiful. Florida's a little wet, sticky, but still beautiful. I used to drive from Manitoba, Canada to Arizona, not using interstates. I've made that trip, I don't know, dozens of times. Well, maybe not dozens, 15 times. Back roads. It's beautiful. Going to these small towns, pulling up to these small diners, and having apple pie. Just seeing how the people in very small communities, how they live, having them stare at you because they know I'm Canadian. They can see it on my face. But I'm not Canadian anymore because I've transitioned. If you've never done that in your life, traveled through small town USA, I highly encourage it. You can go horizontally or vertically. I would recommend vertically though, because you'll be tempted if you go horizontally, like East Coast to West Coast, you'll be tempted to use interstates. If you go north south, there's fewer interstates that go north south like that. But it's one of my favorite memories is waking up in Liberal, Kansas, early in the morning from my hotel room, and every small town in the United States has a smell. And Liberal, Kansas, oh, love the smell of Liberal in the morning. You could smell the cattle trucks. You can smell the corn silage. And then the another favorite memory of mine is in between LA and San Francisco. Where's that Monterey Bay area? There's gorgeous farmland in that area. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, it has its smell. So I went from one extreme to another, from very cold to very warm. The United States has given me so much opportunity, and I do think there's more freedom in the United States to say what you want to say than in Canada. I mean, there is. And unlike Canada, the United States punishes success a little less. Canada punishes success quite a bit. What do I mean by that? Taxation. Speaking of which, let's do quiz time, because that's in the title. I want to quiz you guys about, and then I'll open it up for people who want to come in. And I'm very, I'm curious to know if there's anybody who wants to come in and tell me what they like about their own country. Because I think people like me have an advantage over you, lucky, born here Americans, second, third, fourth generation Americans. Because outsiders can come in, can really appreciate it. You guys who are born here, I don't think you appreciate it. And I would really, especially people who lean left, I think it's tough for you to say what you really love about your own country. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'll give the opportunity later for you to come in and say what you love about your country. Our country. Oh, that's weird, eh? Okay, so I've been pretty busy the last few days, but I had time to very quickly make another spreadsheet. But I want to ask this very general question. Who is and I'll do it in a poll form, who's the most fiscally, for those of you from Idaho, fiscally means like with money, who's the most fiscally responsible president? And I'm going to give you, can I give some? Okay, I might have to break this up into two parts because I'm not sure. I want to go the last 50 years from Biden all the way to Ford, but I don't think this will allow me. So Biden, Trump, Obama. I'll just go George W. Yeah, see, it only gives me 4. Okay, we'll do these 4 and then I'll do the next 4. So answer for these four. So this represents from now all the way back to 2001. That's 20 years. That's pretty good. Clinton's not on this list. We'll do him on the next one. This is like March Madness. We'll see who wins this one. Now, don't be difficult. For now, fiscally responsible can mean whatever you think it means, okay? I know some of you are smart, but usually smart people cause trouble. So don't cause trouble. Just whatever you think fiscally responsible means, answer the poll question. Wow, interesting results. And by the way, this is not a trick question. There's no tricks here. Don't think I'm trying to make a point. I'm not trying to make a point. I'm just curious. Who is the most fiscally responsible president, in your opinion, last 20 years? And I know Biden's only been two years. This is, I'm glad it is. This is not what I was expecting. I don't know what exactly I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting this. It's pretty even. Except Biden is the clear loser so far. And if this is an indication, if the last live stream is an indication, most people here are left-leaning Democrats. 60% of you, at least last live stream. So if that's true, and Biden's still losing here, wow. Okay. So I'm going to write this down, and then I'm going to ask for the next 20 years, 30 years. Oh, it's jumping around a little bit. I thought it would stabilize, but it's not stabilizing yet. Feel free to keep voting. Okay. Last chance. Changed a bit. Okay, end poll. Now let's do the next. Let's see. We ended off with George W., right? Yeah. Okay. Same question. Most fiscally responsible president. I spelled responsible wrong, but who cares? Now we got Clinton, George H. Bush, Reagan, and Carter. Yeah, and I can only do 4. Whoa, Clinton's winning. Or losing. Some people might say fiscal responsibility is a bad thing. Who knows? Nobody says that, right? %53% Clinton so far. Who's the? If you just came late, I already did it for the Biden, Trump, Obama, and George W. But now we're doing all the way back to Carter. Okay, so it looks like things have stabilized. We got 54%, 5%, 20%, 22%. Okay, good enough. This one you can just type in your answer. No cheating. No looking up. No googling. Let's have fun here. Out of all the presidents I've listed, which president, which administration had the highest tax rate, the top tier marginal tax rate? Who can type it in? Remember, your choices are Biden, Trump, Obama, George W., Clinton, George H., Reagan, and Carter. Who had the top tax rate out of all those presidents? Which administration during their tenure had the highest marginal tax rate? Just type in the answer. This is part of my transitioning. It's, learning about the history of the United States. So I need you guys to help me, because science has shown that for me to get my national affirming care, I need to be encouraged. I need to be talked to. I see I see George Washington. He's not on the list. From Biden to Carter, which administration during its tenure had the highest tax rate? Marginal tax rate, top bracket. Which one had the highest? We got Carter, we got George H., we got Trump, we got Carter, Biden, Carter or Clinton, Carter, Reagan. Okay, the correct answer is, for those of you who are too slow, the correct answer is Carter and Reagan. Reagan dropped the tax rate, but he didn't do it right away. I think it took a full year. So technically it's Carter. By the way, something really surprised me when I did this research. Carter surprised me. And I shouldn't give anything away. Okay, let me ask this question now. You guys really voted when I asked who's the most fiscally responsible. Clinton won. Was the top marginal tax rate higher under Reagan after he lowered taxes, or Clinton? Clinton or Reagan, which had the higher marginal tax rate, top marginal tax rate? Clinton versus Reagan. Give your answer. You got two choices. You got 50% chance of being right. Clinton or Reagan, which administration had the highest top marginal tax rate? Clinton or Reagan? No cheating. Don't Google. If you Google, God will see you and smite you dead like he did Ananias and Sapphira. Looks like it's leaning a little bit Reagan, but hang on, we still got some Clintons in there. Darren, don't be that way, Darren Delaney. Don't be that way about saying it's a red herring. I'm asking you a factual question. Just answer it, if you haven't already. Clinton or Reagan, which administration had the top marginal tax rate? If you answered Reagan, you would be correct. Reagan's top marginal tax rate, the very top, was 50% during his whole, I was going to say for the majority of his tenure, his administration. The last 2 years, he dropped it even further. Whereas Clinton's was 39.6%. So Reagan socked it to the rich more than Clinton did. Okay, what will be my next quiz question? let's start very. Oh, I got to ask you guys a question. In my analysis, I didn't know what to do with COVID, so I'm going to do a poll here. Should I include COVID years in my analysis? Because COVID is weird, right? It really messed things up. So this affects both Trump and Biden. So don't think this is like a partisan thing. It affects both of them. But we can just, once you start making excuses for presidents, then where does it stop, right? But I want to get your opinion. Should I include the COVID years in my analysis? What analysis, you ask? It's coming. Looks like people are saying yes. Once we get over 30, you know, in statistics, 30 is the magic number. Yeah, I can give both Shade X, but for now, I will leave COVID in. Yeah, we're over 30. We've got 60-40 split. Okay, so COVID's going to stay in. So my next general question is, in raw dollar numbers, let's just keep it really simple for now, not adjusting for inflation, in raw dollar numbers, which president of the United States over the last 50 years, going from Biden all the way back to Carter, has had the highest deficit number during its tenure, has spent the most money compared to what it brought in? Oh yeah, I guess I got it. For those of you from Oklahoma, a deficit is basically spending more money than you bring in. A surplus is when you bring in more money than you spend. So the question is, which president in raw dollar numbers has, in their administration, and for Biden we'll say so far, has had the most deficit? So we got Trump, and we're including COVID years because the people have spoken. Trump, Obama, Reagan or Trump, Carter, Trump. Remember, we're not adjusting for inflation, just raw numbers. Who has spent more money than they brought in their administration? We'll adjust for inflation later. Hint, if you say Carter, you're stupid because that's way back when money was worth less. So you know it's going to be someone probably in the last 20 years. And we're not going past prior to Carter. All the questions I'm going to ask is in the last 50 years. We stop at Carter. Well, 50 years would be Ford, maybe? Ford. Stop at Ford. Okay, you guys ready for the correct answer? And I hope you're not Googling. The correct answer is Obama. Obama's deficit accumulation over 8 years was 7.3 trillion. Trump's was 5.6 trillion, and that includes COVID. If we don't include COVID, it's way less. The COVID years killed him. If we don't include COVID, it's 2.4 trillion. In 1 year, he spent another 3 trillion. So Obama has been the most deficit-ish out of all the presidents. Trump is second. Biden is third with 4.1 trillion in just 2 years. Now you could say, oh, but Doug, Trump was only 4 years, Obama was 8. Good point. Good point. So now let's do it annual. Out of all the presidents, going from Biden to Ford, Which president had the most annual average deficit per year? Average deficit per year. Put in your answer. Who had the, in raw dollar amounts? Actually, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Trump, Obama, Trump. The correct answer is Biden. Biden has had the highest annual deficits. It's even higher than Trump. Because remember, I said Biden was 4.1, but he's only been here for 2 years. That's 2.1 trillion per year. Obama's is 1.1 trillion per year. Trump was 1.6. So Biden wins that one. Now, for the smart people, they're saying, oh, Doug is so pedantic. He's so stupid. Oh, he's asking these raw number questions when we all know we have to chain it to the 2012 baseline like the economists do. So now let's ask the question. Let's do it this way first. As a percent of GDP, because GDP, it's been going up over the years. As a percent of GDP, which president over its tenure has had the highest deficit per GDP? Type in your guesses. No Googling. If you Google, God, Yahweh will strike you dead like Ananias and Sapphira. Do not Google. The question is, which president from Biden going back to Ford has had the highest deficit over its administration's tenure per GDP? Deficit as a percentage of GDP. You have to be smart just to understand these questions. But I know there's 82 of you here, and only the smart ones show up. We got Biden, Clinton. As a percentage of GDP, which president has had the highest deficit per GDP? As a percentage of GDP. Got Biden, Clinton. Obama. Biden or Jimmy Carter? Obama. George Washington. David Friskin, go to the back of the class, stand in the corner with your head towards the wall. From Biden to Ford. The correct answer is, for those of you who answered Biden, you're correct. Because remember, we're including the COVID years, which hurts both Biden and Trump. 10.3% of GDP. Second place, Trump, 7.4% of GDP. Third place, let me make sure I got this right, is Obama, 5.6% of GDP. You notice that all the recent presidents have had the highest deficits per GDP? Who's after Obama? Obama's third, he got the bronze. Who's the big loser in fourth place? It is George H. Bush at 2.5% of GDP. Okay. Charles B says this is truly an idiotic exercise. Well, that's because, you're a little slow. You don't quite understand the fun of this. I understand. But you're here, and I love that you're here. So Charles B is thinking to himself, what does debt even matter? It's about economic growth. So here's the next question. Which president, from Biden going all the way back to Ford, during its administration's tenure, has had the most growth in its GDP? Most GDP growth. Put in your answer. Which president, from Biden going all the way back to Ford, during its administration's tenure, has had the most GDP growth. Like average out all the GDP growth during its tenure. Which president's had the highest GDP growth? I'm going to make sure I know that answer. Yeah, I calculated this. By the way, who so far has gotten every answer correct? I should have prizes. If you get all the answers correct, you can become an American citizen like me. And if you're already an American citizen, then you already have your reward. Okay, so we got Reagan, Trump, George W. Bush, Biden, Clinton, Reagan, Trump, Ford. Whoa, we got all over the place. David Friskin, you need to go sit in the corner. Bush. Which Bush? There's two Bushes, Hudson. Go stand in the corner. Carter. Trump. King Xerxes, go stand in the corner. Ford. Okay, you guys ready for the correct answer? King Xerxes got every question correct. You get a free pass to become an American citizen, King Xerxes, if you get everything correct. The correct answer is the president who's had the most GDP growth is Clinton. President Clinton. 4% average growth during his tenure of 8 years. Second place, and a lot of people answered this, is Joe Biden. 3.4%. That's just 2 years, though. Got a little asterisk. Third place, who gets the bronze? I don't even know. Let me see. Oh, this is going to be surprising for you left-wingers, granola crunching tree huggers. Ronald Reagan, third place at 3.8%. By the way, this is all adjusted to inflation. Comparing GDP, because, over 8 years there's inflation. It's all adjusted. Fourth place, I think some people even said this, Carter. Jimmy Carter, 3.2%. Out of all the presidents from Biden to Ford, who was the worst at growing GDP? I'm just saying it's not like it's their responsibility. But who's the worst? Actually, I'll make that a question. Which president has had the lowest average GDP tenure growth? Type in your answer. Which president's the worst? Has the lowest from Biden all the way down to Ford? That's 50 years. No Googling. We got H. Bush. George W. Bush. We have Obama. Come on, don't be scared to guess. Which president has had the worst GDP growth from Biden to Ford? And you guys think I'm tricking you here. I think some of you left-wingers here think I'm trying to make the left wing look bad. No, I'm not trying to make anybody look bad or anybody look good. There's just some very interesting stats here. David Friskin, stay in the corner with your face firmly pressed towards the wall. It's like he's a monkey. I got to give him a banana to chew on or something. Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, the correct answer is the president who's had the worst is... Remember I asked about the COVID years? Did that for a reason. If we include the COVID years, the worst is President Trump. He's had the lowest average GDP growth. If we don't include, the second worst, is Obama. Trump beats Obama. Obama's the worst if we don't include the COVID years. So Obama had the highest deficit per GDP and also had the lowest growth. So what I did is I said, okay, if you have deficit spending, you should get a good bang for your buck, right? So you look at GDP growth and divide it by the deficit as a percentage of GDP. I took those ratios. I want to ask this as a question. The most productive president based on those two metrics, high GDP growth and low deficit spending as a percentage of GDP, divided those and I got a ratio. And who won? Clinton won in a landslide. Second place was, this is where I was shocked. Jimmy Carter was second and Ford was third. Nobody in the last 20 years, is Clinton 20 years? Yeah, Clinton's just outside of 20 years. Nobody in the 20 years came even close. George W., Obama, Trump, Biden, they all suck on that metric compared to Clinton, Carter, and Ford. Isn't that interesting? Like, I remember, I'm 52 years old, and so I sort of remember Carter. I was very young. But I remember a lot of people hating him. But economically, just based on, I realized that there was a huge inflation during that time. But if you just look at GDP growth and deficit spending, he was okay. In fact, he was more than okay. But I know there was like problems with Iran and stuff, and he got problems. He probably didn't get elected for those reasons as well. And even Ford, but what's interesting that over the years, deficits don't seem to matter. Like when you go from Ford to now, the deficit as a percentage of GDP is just going straight up. Carter was a good president, but bad politician. What's also interesting is Ford's top tax rate was 70%, Carter's was 70%, Reagan's was 70% for this first year, but then he cut the taxes down to 50%. So Clinton kicked butt compared to Reagan with lower tax rates. Now the question is, here's my guess of why Clinton kicked butt. You're not going to like my answer, but it has nothing to do with Clinton. The reason why Clinton kicked butt in terms of GDP growth and low deficit spending was not because he had high taxes, because, as I said, Reagan's top tax rate was higher than Clinton's. The reason why he kicked butt is, you know what happened in the 90s? Anybody, I don't know if you guys are history buffs, but you guys remember what happened in the 90s? Something big happened in the world in the 90s. Who can tell me what huge thing happened in the 90s that the United States was the main force? You become a U.S. citizen if you get this right. Chris Hipser. Chris Hipser. I think you're the first one to answer, right? Well, Flamio too. I'll give you both. You're right. What happened in the 90s is the internet was invented. Not invented, but became in the domain of the public. Huge innovations. Companies like Yahoo and Microsoft, big companies. Al Gore created the internet. Yeah, I forgot about that. Step aside, Microsoft. So I think a big part of the GDP growth in the 90s was not because Clinton was, had an amazing administration. It's because there was a huge technological innovation, the likes that we haven't even been close to duplicating. So I thought this was amazing, fun. I'll show you my spreadsheet. This will be meaningless to people from Virginia. But anyhow, I got data from the Tax Foundation and the St. Louis Fed. Inflation numbers were adjusted using chain to the 2012 baseline. Here's the deficits as a percentage of GDP per year. Like, look at this. This is why I think we should remove, like, both Trump and Biden are getting screwed big time in this quiz because of COVID. Huge deficit as a percentage of GDP. Obama's 5.6%. Trump's is 4.3 if you don't count the COVID years. George W. Bush, only 1.7%. But Clinton, look at Clinton, 0.5%. Look at this. The last time we've had a surplus, well, actually, the first year of George W.'s tenure, too, we had a surplus, was 1998 to 2001. But look at Carter. Very low deficit as a percentage of GDP. Pretty good GDP growth. Remember, this is adjusted for inflation, too. And we take this number divided by this number, you get this number. So this is like a number that's a good judge of how good a president's administration is. Well, while they're in office, what's been happening. But look at Clinton. He's at 8.35 compared to Biden's 0.32, Trump's 0.21, but he's at 0.6 if we don't count COVID. Obama's 0.33. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is we need a new innovation equivalent to the internet. That's what gets GDP going. But the other question is about taxation. It's part of the reason why we got such low deficit numbers as a percentage of GDP for Ford and Carter and even Reagan. Well, no, mostly Ford and Carter. Is it because of that 70% tax rate? Or is it more because there was less social welfare type programs back then? And I was thinking about this. Thanks, Roddy. I was thinking about this. As a conservative myself, would I be for a 70% top marginal tax rate? And I do think you should not punish success. I don't think you should try to avoid punishing success, punishing earning. I think you should, if you're going to punish, it should be more on spending. But would I be for a 70% top marginal tax rate? And I did the math. I looked it up. I ran it through a calculator. The top marginal tax rate back in Ford's day and Carter's day, you would pay 70% if you made like 1.5 million a year income in today's dollars. But here's what I was thinking. If you took every social program that existed in Ford and Carter's day and compared it to every social program we have in Biden's day, and if you stripped all the stuff that Biden administration, Trump administration, Obama administration, strip all those extra things compared to Ford and Carter, and you go back to just what Ford and Carter had, you might get me to vote for a 70% top marginal tax rate. Because you know what's going to happen? I haven't done the research on this, but I think a big chunk of social programs is gone. Just gone. A lot of regulations, red tape, gone. But you get your 70% top tax rate. It'd be like a compromise. And then your deficit as a percentage of GDP will sink like a rock. Yeah, Charles B. I'm saying that even as a conservative, I might take that compromise. Now, the question is, would people on the left take that compromise? How many people who lean pretty strong left would be willing to say, okay, Doug, yeah, okay, if you're willing to meet me at 70% top marginal tax rate, I'm willing to meet you, Doug, and strip away all the social programs that we didn't have back in 1973. All those grants, all that federal help, gone. If we didn't have it in 1973 to 1979, we don't have it today. Would you go for that compromise? I don't think you would. I think you'd say, you know what? No, let's keep what we got, and 39% tax rate's good, top tier. No, we don't want to go to 70 and get rid of that. Anyhow, I'll open up the room if anybody wants to come in. I would love for Americans who lean left to come in and tell me what you love about the United States. Wouldn't that be nice? No? I mean, sincerely. Don't be like a smart aleck, sarcastic. Come in and sincerely tell me what you love about your country. You have to say, you have to say it like this. You have to say, hi, Doug. My name is Myron. I am a self-identified left-winging, granola-crunching liberal. And what I love about my country is, and then you fill in the blank. Good luck. They just say America's bad. Yeah, well, not all, of course, and I'm sure they do admit there's some good parts. But even like, would you say that there's more good in America than bad? Okay, King Xerxes, I know you don't lean left, right? You don't lean left. But
No, I don't.
What do you love about the United States?
What I love about the United States is that I can go into my backyard and fire off like 100 rounds in a drum magazine out of a semi-automatic rifle using a tiny little spring pin to make it fully automatic.
Okay, fair enough. Is there a gun you recommend I buy to complete my transitioning?
Well, what are you wanting to use it for?
Just kill people that come into my house.
Okay. I mean,
self-defense.
If you're just looking for like home defense.
Yeah.
You're looking for home defense. Then like I don't know, stubby shotgun. You don't have to be very accurate with them.
Are those illegal?
But no. You can get like a Spaz 12 out of from a gun store for like $800.
Okay.
As long as the barrel is 16 inches, right?
16
inches.
That's all.
Okay. Like the overall 16 inches. Yeah, the overall length doesn't have to be that. You can just get like a normal like Remington 870, right? But I mean, if you're looking for something that you can carry with like a permit, yes, any kind of semi-automatic hammer-fired pistol is probably good. Sig Sauer, CZ, H&K.
Okay, I already got the guard dog, so all I need now is the shotgun, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. If you want the illusion of protection, then yeah, you just buy one gun.
But I just thought of something of what I as a kid, as a Canadian, we went to Florida to Disney World, and I remember watching a show with the national anthem, the American national anthem, and I think that day for some reason they had jets flying over. Oh, it was 2001. It was, and that's why the jets were flying over. Yeah, I went to Florida in 2001, and I remember as a Canadian thinking, these people really love their country and they're passionate. You don't see that sort of thing in Canada. Like there were people crying during the national anthem, and just when those fighter jets went screaming over, I mean, you could just feel the energy of people being united. It was amazing. I don't know if I lost you, but
no, you didn't lose me.
Okay.
I was reading the chat. I've been corrected for a shotgun. It needs to be 18 inches the barrel.
18 inches. Okay.
But yeah, 18 inches.
Okay. So seriously,
but, for a rifle, it's 16 inches.
And shotgun's probably the best way to go because you don't have to aim, right?
You just need to point it in the general direction of the threat.
And it won't go through the walls.
Anything in that general direction will die. As long as you get like buckshot.
Okay.
Right? If you get like a slug, then yeah, you have to aim because it's a single projectile. If you get buckshot, it's like 9 of them, and they're all about the size of a ball bearing. So yeah, you do some damage with that.
Okay, I'll let you go. Thanks for coming on. Let's see, Aliska. Why did my cam go off? Can you hear me, Aliska? Alexa?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Why did my camera go off? Do you know why?
I have no idea.
That is weird. Cam and mic are blocked. Oh, you know what happened?
Huh.
Ah.
You got a really cute little avatar though. You're hunting for wabbits.
Is this? Okay, I was just thinking because we were talking about guns, if somebody, but no, that can't be. Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, what do you love about America? Are you an American citizen?
Yes.
Born and bred here?
Yes.
What do you love about America? Oh, are you left leaning or
Okay.
right leaning?
Well, I was going to tell a joke and say that my left leg's shorter than my right, so I am left leaning. Well, I can tell you what a leftist from California said one Thanksgiving. She said that she was most thankful for our ability to protest, that is the quintessential American.
Free speech.
Yep.
Yes, the right of assembly, the right to petition the government, the right to have religion or not. Amen. Hallelujah. But that's what you would say as well?
As a since I'm fiscally conservative, I would say our economy is the best. You know, we're surrounded by oceans, so that helps us with defense, and then we're great, very resource rich.
Yes, I agree. Okay, anything else?
And for the what he said about the one firearm is an illusion of security, I agree. You also need a pistol, so you can carry it with you all the time, not just when you need it. And so I would go with the Glock, although Uberscheiser said a SIG 380 with hollow points would be great.
Okay, very good. I'll look into the Glock. I'll look into the 16-inch barrel shotgun and more.
18
inch. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay.
Okay. Have a great day.
Yep. Thanks for coming on. Chris. Chris, are you left leaning, right leaning? Give him a few more seconds to catch up. We'll go through all the people quickly. So if you want to come on, tell me what you love about America, and give me advice on what I should do to complete my transitioning. Chris, I can't hear you, can't see you. There's a gearbox on the top right. Quickly make sure your settings are right. Hit refresh. I wanted to say one thing I liked about the USA is that it's the first example of a secular government in history. Great answer, Sapir Odd. Sapir Odd likes the United States because it's the first example of a secular nation. The Constitution of the United States is basically what he's saying. Okay, Dave Robinson. Hi, Dave.
Doug, congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir. Now you lean right, right?
So, absolutely.
Okay. What? So this is easy for you. What do you love about the United States?
What I'm driving right now, it's a Dodge Charger with 400, almost 500 horsepower. And the beauty is, this isn't even the most horsepower you can get for a street car. It's not even close. But it's a lot of screaming American horsepower.
So you like the fact that you can drive a gas guzzling car freely in America?
That's it. And made in Canada, by the way.
Oh, really?
But unfortunately, they're going to go electric in 24, believe it or not. Yeah, I don't know. Do you see it?
Oh, yeah. That's
The beauty.
Can I show the audience?
Sure.
Show it again. Oh, yeah. I bet you it's great fun passing cars on the interstate with that.
I get to work. Yeah, I just have a great time driving to work. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Anyway, congratulations.
Yep. Take care. Thanks for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Sample pack. You don't love America. You hate America, right? Oh, I can't hear you. You might have to refresh after you get your gearbox put in order. Still can't hear you. I'll let you know when I can hear you. See if that worked. Say something? No? Worked last time you were here. Made in Canada, so it's not American, it's Canadian. Yeah, well, Dave Robinson is, I guess he's okay with international trade. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What do you love about America? We all know you're a left-leaning, granola crunching.
Oh, I hate America. It's an awful place. You can't love anything about it, really.
There's not one good thing? Come on.
Oh no, I was just playing into your joke earlier.
Hmm.
No, I think America's pretty good. I think that we have a pretty good democratic system. I think that my least favorite part is probably
No, least favorite. What is your favorite, what you love about America?
I think probably one of my favorite parts is just like the natural beauty of the country. Like you were saying earlier about like Utah, California, Arizona. Like
Yeah.
I've driven out west like a couple times, and it's definitely a beautiful area.
But Canada's beautiful too. Have you been to Banff, Alberta?
I've been to Quebec and Montreal and to the Cape Breton area, like in Nova Scotia, but I haven't been like very far west.
Is there anything about the system of the United States, the government, the people of the United States that you love?
Yeah, I think I think that the government is pretty good. I think that the government could work a little bit better, but I think that the representation that you get of government is pretty good. I feel like it would be nice if more people were interested in government, like paid more attention to it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's like a lot of like disdain that the average American has for government, and that kind of saddens me because I like to listen to the government and like find out what's going on. So
you got C-SPAN up on your wall at home running 24/7, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So
I had a question for you about the your stats, since you had it broken out by year, right, for the presidency.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I wanted to see if you would agree with this hypothesis that like it doesn't feel like a president has much influence until like 2 years into their presidency.
Yep.
So I was wondering if you
Or 1
staggered
year.
everything by 2 years after, how that would affect your numbers.
Yeah, the thing is, over a long enough time period, it should affect things equally.
I think I agree, but I guess it depends on who each his predecessor was, right?
Yeah. See, like, I just saw a tweet the other day that President Biden said our administration has seen the largest yearly deficit decrease in history. And it's
Okay.
it's like, well, that's because of COVID. Like, I mean, it's not because of you. It's
Right, yeah. Like there's obviously like yeah, so it's like hard to take responsibility. So I'm wondering if you like if you gave Trump that credit because it's been like for these 2 years, right?
Yeah. But every president could say that. Like Obama could say, I just came off the mess that George W. Bush made, and this is why my deficit.
Well, Obama also had to deal with the housing crisis. Right?
Yeah, that's right. The housing crash. And then George H. Bush could say the same thing for the .com crash, and Reagan could
Right.
say the same thing for the Carter inflation mess or whatever. I mean, where does it stop? At some point, it's
Well, I would just be super interested in like how much it changes your numbers because you had it all broken out already. So that's why I was like,
just
you
shift
know.
everything up 2
Yeah,
or 1.
yeah, 1 or 2, depending on like how much you agree with the premise, you know.
Yeah, I actually think it's not going to change things much, except for COVID.
Yeah.
I think for Biden it would, and for
Well, for Biden, he'd be starting at 0.
yeah,
then, right?
yeah, right. So he would done nothing.
Yeah.
It might make Obama look a little better, but then again, it might make George W. Bush look a little better. So overall, in the wash. Yeah, but anyhow, good point. There's so many different things you can do with that.
Yeah.
Like-
I had a separate question for it, but I'm not remembering right now. Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, take care. Thanks for coming
Yep,
on.
bye.
Chris, did you try to come on earlier and I couldn't hear you? If you can hear me, there's a gearbox in the top right. Make sure it's set to your right mic and then hit the refresh on the top. Oh, something's happening. There, now say something. No, I still can't hear you. I don't know why. I think we just don't have good justification to give credit or blame to any single person for almost anything. Amen. Hallelujah. I agree. Say something, Chris. If I had more time, I would have done unemployment rate by president over all the years. That'd be a good one to look at. The room's open if you want to call in as a left-leaning or even a right-leaning. Tell me what you love about this country. If you want to give me American affirming care, now that I've transitioned, tell me things I want to hear to make me feel good. Oh, Chris, yeah, you're a granola crunching left-leaning liberal who hugs trees and cries to Barbara Streisand music. Abyss. Say something, Abyss.
Oh, let me turn
I hear you now.
the YouTube off. Hold on. I'm getting the double feedback thing.
Are you left-leaning or right-leaning?
I actually was coming in to ask, what do you mean by that?
Oh, do you consider yourself more of a Democrat or a Republican? More of a Green Party or more of a libertarian?
None of the above.
Okay. Do you love America?
Yeah.
Why?
The fundamental founding principles that essentially embody individualism, federal republicanism, the idea of a laissez-faire constitution, And yeah,
Amen. I like that answer. I agree.
but yeah, I just wanted to kind of suss out kind of some things that were going on here because I think this. I mostly know you from your atheist channel,
Oh, do you like
but
me or
I
don't like me?
love you. I think you're probably one of the best atheists I've seen on the internet who are less mixed up in their views. Like
I'm normal.
you're normal, yeah. You don't. What was it? I saw you talking yesterday about something that kind of indicated me that you're a little bit better. You're more not on the supernatural side. There's some atheists that still take on like a lot of supernaturalism, and I
Yeah.
think that is probably one of my biggest gripes with atheism or most atheists.
Yeah,
No.
I'm pretty hardcore hard atheist, pretty hardcore naturalist. But then the
Yeah.
same token, I'm pretty hardcore conservative too. So a lot of
What does that mean? Actually, there's another one. What does that mean?
To me, it means that I err towards personal responsibility before community responsibility. It means that I am a big supporter of tough love over soft love. It means that I am. Those are the two biggest things.
Can I ask what does that have to do with politics, though?
Oh, a lot. So a lot of policy on, like for example, I think back in the Reagan years, I think, or was it even Clinton who said this, that there sometimes welfare in America's history has been tied to work, that someone ought to be working or looking for work in order to get welfare benefits.
I'm very familiar with this. Yeah.
I think traditionally that'd be viewed as a right-wing Republican type of idea, whereas some people on the left would say that's cruel. Like people are just needing help, and then you're making them feel guilty that they can't find work. And it's like, how?
Well, wouldn't you call that illegitimate on its face? Since you're I think your position was kind of this individual responsibility type of thing.
Well, no, I understand where the left's coming from on that issue, but I would agree with the Republicans or the right-leaning people would say that there should be some type of, for people who can work, even if there were opportunities for them to have some type of self-respect, that even if the government had, like, you got to move these bricks from over here to over there in order for us to build this building, the government's going to pay you, but then you have...
Yeah, that's the part I don't get right there.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I get the whole individual responsibility, self-respect, but then I don't get how that connects to the welfare part of it. Wouldn't the individual responsibility be there should be no such thing as welfare, period?
Well, I can tell where you're coming from. I do think that as a society, there's definitely people, like if you take extreme cases where people born without legs or the severely mentally handicapped, who say have no family, who takes care of them?
We have charities for that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You would, right? I mean, do you care a lot about that type of stuff?
Good point. Now the question is, if there's charities that can do
individual responsibility of those people who really care about that.
I agree with you, and I actually do lean more that way. If a private charity can take care of those people more efficiently than the government.
Speaking of history, that's what happened in the past.
Yep, actually. I agree with you. The thing is, there's, I think, times in history where, well, maybe not. I was going to say where there was a need that private charities or the private sector hasn't acted either fast enough or at all, and the government did have to step in. But I can't think of an example off the top of my head.
American history, the big boom of charity was, in fact.
So are you more or less a...
I am a laissez-faire capitalist. Before we get into the titles and labels,
I can tell where you're coming from by asking this question. Do you think the state government should be responsible for the fire department?
No.
Yeah. Okay. I know exactly where you're coming from now.
Well, I don't think they were before, and like I don't.
That one question
I
tells
think-
me that, yeah.
I think the government should be.
Do you think there should be
Uh,
speeding limits on the interstate?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
Well, actually,
you shocked me
no.
on that
Why-
answer.
why- yeah, actually, no. Why would there be an interstate for the state to put speeding limits on? I think now let me modify my answer. I think if someone wanted to build a highway, let's just get an interstate. If someone wanted to build a highway and put speed limits on their highway, I think that would be very smart, and I would do that. In fact, if I had an interstate highway and I owned it, I would do that. I think that's a very good innovation. And
Last
idea,
last
but
question. Do you think there should be any taxation by the federal government on income?
No, I don't think there should be
Okay, yeah, I
taxation.
know exactly where
Which-
you're coming from.
Which weirded me out a little earlier. I heard you kind of state that you weren't with taxation. Then I heard something that I thought kind of contradicted that a little bit.
Is there any federal government service you think should be in existence?
Police in the courts,
Police and the courts. What about the army?
in the army, yeah, police. That's foreign policing, but yeah,
Okay.
police force for the.
What about
purpose of
interstates, roads, infrastructure, bridges?
People can build those. People do build those.
I know,
Companies
but
build those.
there's sometimes roads that need to go from one state to another state, and it's more convenient if a federal government does it, right?
No.
No?
Why would that be more convenient?
Because then you got bickering about who's going to pay for this, who's going to pay for that.
No, the person who wants to build the road pays for it.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on.
Oh wait, can I one more thing?
Yeah, I got two people
Actually-
waiting.
Oh, okay, real quick, because I think this is important. The guy said the right to protest, and everybody was like, "Woohoo, the right to protest."
Yeah.
I don't think that's very. There's and you could research this and think about this more. The right to protest is not the same thing as the right to free speech, and if you are as quote anti quote left as you are, you should really kind of think more about that.
Well, that's
And if you
you're
want
right. They're not the same thing, but that's why the Constitution, the amendment, has it separate. You have the right to free speech and the right to petition.
But petitioning, again, petitioning and assembling and protesting are different things.
Yes, but they're all in the amendment to the Constitution.
They are, and one of those should not be, which is the right to protest.
Why
No
shouldn't
one
it
should
be?
have, because no one should have
Are you
the right to
protesting
go.
that protest?
Yeah, no. This is the see. This is the confusion. No one has the right to go onto someone else's property and protest, and that's what a lot of people take the right to protest to mean, which is what I was trying to
Oh, well, no,
You
but that,
see?
I don't think most people think that. That
say.
you think most people think the
Yes,
the right to
yes,
protest means you can go on
go
private
look at
property?
the justification for the rioting a couple years ago. Every time there's riots, go look at what their justification is.
Oh, but those
and
are
what they
just
say.
emotionally crazy people. We don't.
But that's no. That's on the constitutional, the legal, political level too. That's what the politicians say. They say it's part of our.
But it's not what the
American
Constitution
foundation.
says.
But that's how their people interpret it.
Yeah, but they're emotional.
Yeah, but that's how they interpret it, and how they interpret it is what kind of matters right now because they're in power.
Okay, I'll let you go. I got two other people
All right, man.
waiting.
All right,
See ya.
be safe.
Okay, this is the third time we're trying Chris here. Chris, say something. Thanks, Dalai Lama. Chris really wants to talk to me, but I can't hear you, Chris. Are you using Chrome? Or are you using AOL? You must be from Canada, because internet and stuff doesn't work in Canada. Okay, pipeline audio. I know you lean to the right side. What do you love about America?
I think you got me on, Doug.
Yeah, no, I know. I got you.
Oh, yeah. This is sorry. This is pipeline audio.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm asking you, what do you love
Okay.
about America? And I know you lean right, right?
Well, I lean far to the left when it comes to reproductive issues. I lean farther to the left than most of the leftists I know, and way further on environmental issues. So it's kind of a grab bag.
Okay.
But I have a couple things. So I would say, first of all, freedom from religion, including the religion of wokeism, which pretty much secures all of our other rights and freedoms. Uh-oh, why? Now I can't hear you.
I am not. I'm not talking.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I got to watch the tab. Secondly, BMX. It started here. Third, the electric guitar,
BMX, the bike
which made
racing.
well, not just racing, but like doing flips and breaking all your teeth out and all the
Oh,
really
okay.
crazy American extreme sports stuff that the rest of the world is actually really good at it now too. But it started here. We created the electric guitar, multi-track recording right after the electric guitar,
Baseball,
and I don't care about baseball.
football.
Pretty much all forms of heavy metal, which wouldn't be possible without our resident American Mexicans. So that's what I think. Those are the 5 that really set us off.
What about
for
companies
being
like Microsoft, Google?
I think Google's not cool.
Netflix,
Right. Microsoft I like.
Yahoo.
Google not so much.
I still use Yahoo Mail, but it's almost as old as AOL.
Yeah. We have people who register AOL and Yahoo Mail accounts on our stuff, which cracks me up. But that was all I had. Those were those 5 things. I think that first one, the freedom from religion, really secures everything else
Yeah.
that made this country possible. Like we wouldn't have had our innovations that we've had with that if we had some church breathing down the neck saying you can't do this. And we're seeing that now in technology where we have a bunch of wokeists that are telling us, hey, you can't use this technology that would really help the world out, like golden rice, GMOs, things like that. And now we have religion in the way of helping the world. So
Let me ask you this before you go. Do you think that the reason why Christianity is still higher as a percentage compared to, let's say, European countries is because of our constitution, because there's a freedom from religion or to have no religion or any religion you want, whereas countries in Europe, a lot of them tie religion to their constitution or their government, and so it made people rebel against it more. And in the United States, that rebellion wasn't there.
I think that's true. I've had Europeans tell me that, is that, hey, if somebody tells you you have to go to this church, you're going to say, hell no. But if you say, hey, I want to go to that church because that's the one with the Apple kiosk and the Starbucks and the bowling alley, you're probably going to pick that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks. That's all I had. I'll see you.
Last chance if anybody else wants to come on. What do you love about America? What do you love about America, Chris?
Oh, I enjoy the protection afforded by our bloated military. I actually do. It's selfish. It's a feeling of safety I love that I wouldn't feel if I lived in
Amen. I agree with you.
Ethiopia.
It was very attractive to me. Like I'm in Tucson, and there's more military aircraft in Tucson than any other country in the world. One city has more military aircraft because it's so dry here. They store them here, but they're still active. They could still go up in the air with a little bit of fine tuning. Except for Russia. Russia has more aircraft than us. But yeah, I mean, it's not even close. The state of Arizona could take out Russia.
You've said so, yeah. I've become a big fan over the last couple of weeks because of your atheism stuff. But
you don't like my politics, right?
I am confused, I have to admit. I don't think your
You watched my political channel.
Greatest number comport with your political views. Sorry.
You watched my political channel one time, and then you ran into the wall, and that's what happened to your nose.
Oh no, this is for increasing my breathing.
Oh,
I have, dust allergies.
Oh, okay. Are you allergic to gluten too?
No.
Okay.
I'm not that sort of hippie. I'm a very science-based.
You knew where I was going with that.
Yeah. If you want to pin me down, you can ask me some questions. But I don't think it's right that we have a big military that I feel good about. I think that that's morally wrong because
just view it as welfare, and it'll make you feel better.
Welfare doesn't kill people in other countries.
Well, most of the time, the United States government's not killing people in other countries. It's providing a whole bunch of jobs all around the world for Americans. It's providing private contractors to build stuff. It gives people money.
Here's my hot take. Having a job isn't necessarily a good thing now that we have automation to the level that we do. Is how we get to the Star Trek future. Do you like sci-fi?
Yeah, I do.
Like books?
No,
Have you
no,
ever-
I don't read books.
I know, and the first time I heard you say that about 1984, me and my girlfriend were watching, and we laughed out loud because we thought you were joking.
No, I'm not joking.
But,
I've never
um,
read a
um,
book from cover to cover. Now I've read parts of books, but now
Read Dune.
now in the digital age, uh, like reading paper books, I think is silly, unless you like licking your finger, and flipping
If there's
pages.
one book I would recommend, it's Dune. But there are sort of utopian authors that are, far future utopian fictionalizations of what humanity could become. And, people switch genders whenever they feel like it. They experience being a ball of, brambles as their body. And it's like this sort of ultimate end state of personal freedom. And so, I don't know, I don't know how you stand on, obviously trans women aren't technically women, but to not call them women is to sort of hurt people. So I think
Yeah,
that for gender,
this is part of the reason why I love America, because you have the freedom to make people cry.
right. So anyway, I wanted
Isn't
to
that
maybe
good?
engage you on, yes, absolutely. I think people should be offended all the time. And I love the way you do it
Amen.
with humor and dry servicism. That's
So,
what got
but
me.
what's interesting is you probably made some people cry when you said that trans women are not technically women.
Well, I mean, it's not disputable. Like, it's just when you go to the
Whoa.
doctor, you get different
It
care.
is disputable to some.
I know, but they don't mean it the way that you think they mean it. They're women in that.
I've
you
talked to
should call
trans
them
people
women.
who will deny that there's even dysphoria. Like, no, they are who they are, and so it's not a matter of dysphoria. It's they're trans, and they really are what they are.
Well, they really are a woman in that that's their identity, and we ought to be able to choose our identities. Don't you agree?
Depends on what it is. Like, can I
But does it hurt anybody that people convert to women or
like
men?
can I choose for my identity to be a 5-year-old right now?
That's a different category, I think.
Is
But
it really
no.
a different category?
Yeah.
How so?
Um.
One's age and one is sex, right?
hmm One measures time, and the other measures
So why
genetic.
can't I identify as a 5-year-old child?
Well, you might be able to one day, and I think that might be okay one day. There might be a place where a lot of people like you get together and hang out and pretend to be children for maybe 3 days out of the week. I don't
Okay,
know.
but pretending and actually being are two different things, right? Like, I could pretend to be a 5-year-old child, but would you use that same language to say a trans woman's pretending to be a real woman?
Well, they've transformed their identity into the opposite gender, which is not sex. Gender and sex are different. We know this.
But if I
or do you know that? I don't know.
if I transformed myself to wearing, I don't know, 5-year-old children's outfits, clothes, does that make me a 5-year-old?
Well, it doesn't make you a 5-year-old. But if you want to do that, I don't think it would hurt a lot of people. So
Right, sure.
you should be able to call yourself
But
a
I should be
5-year-old and
prepared.
demand that people call you a 5-year-old. Sure.
I agree with you, but I should, if I dress up like a 5-year-old, I'm thinking of Sound of Music, those kids on that one scene.
I'm too young.
If I go in public like that, given our current culture and whatever, I can do that. I'm not hurting anyone, but I should be prepared for people to stare at me and laugh.
Yeah, and that's what, on a larger scale, hurts the trans community, is that we don't have that level of interpersonal respect. Like, people shouldn't laugh at you. Like, they will, obviously, because we're, people. I wanted to ask you a question about, you obviously think that we're motivated by certain things. I've heard you say that it's pretty depressing that we're motivated by punishment and reward, as these theists are. But that seems to be what
I don't completely disagree with that. I think almost everything boils down to pain and pleasure. Now,
Sure.
this is where I'm a little hazy, and maybe I should read philosophy more. And I would say I'm maybe 97% consequentialist and 3% virtue ethics. do good
Oh
for,
my.
the,
I only took a philosophy of mind class, so I don't know what you're talking about.
but anyhow, ask your question again.
Well, I think that your sort of your criticisms of Christians about motivation sort of conflict with your own belief in personal responsibility being this sort of thing we should take to an extreme. In my opinion, an extreme. Of,
What do you think I
rugged
conflict with
individualism.
Christians about? Because I actually think if heaven is real and hell is real, those are good reasons to be a Christian, so you can go to heaven and not go to hell. I just don't think heaven
Right.
and hell are real.
They would be, if I were a Christian, I would try to convert everybody I knew, but
Yeah. So
That
I
would
don't
be very
disagree with the
important.
Christians there saying, these are good reasons to believe, because
But
I just don't think.
when you sort of support that rugged individualism, everybody ought to be able to pull their own weight sort of thing, that's kind
Where
of,
have I ever said
you're
that?
sort of guilty.
The-
Oh, I don't know. I
there's
haven't.
this idea that I've said, pull yourself by the bootstrap.
Well, that's a
what I'm
straw
saying.
man.
What I'm saying is that, and I'll ask you now, and is it easier to control yourself, your own decisions, or mine, or the society around you?
My own.
Your own. You lean right, and you don't even know it.
Well, this is what I think that the right and the left share more than they think. I just thought that you were sort of guilty of the same thing that Christians were guilty of, which is assuming that people are these sort of very self-interested creatures. We need capitalism to keep them in check. We need, we need a system where people ought to be given the opportunity to get way, way ahead of others, where that obviously causes so much social harm. I think that being more of a, mommy state kind of, we can take care of all the people if we just allocated all our resources correctly, would comport more with your belief that people can act altruistically and often do for reasons that theists have no idea about. Like it's beneficial for us, it's beneficial.
This is what I believe. I believe that it
Yeah.
is better to not punish success. Do you agree with that?
To a degree. I mean, should there be
And not
should one person through clever trickery take all the money in the world?
yeah
Could
that
they take half of it, a third of it, a quarter? Where does your belief light turn on?
see, and this is where I think a lot of people on the left they got this thing stuck in their head, and I think it's a wrong thing that let me ask you, do you think most people who are very, very wealthy have used trickery or deception or
Yes, I think it's a halo effect type thing. I studied
Yeah.
psychology. I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, this is
So-
a problem. If you're,
Yeah.
because then how do you not view very successful, wealthy people as evil?
I do.
You do view them as evil.
I mostly. I mean, there's your Bill Gateses who are, they take the emotion out of it and they put the raw numbers and they put their money where it counts and they buy malaria nuts.
You know how some people, well, maybe you don't know,
But most of them are. Yeah, sorry.
I've been told by people over the years that, Doug, you need to spend more time with, I don't know, pick your minority or a trans person. And if you
Yeah,
really,
you golf with a Christian.
yeah, if you really spent time and got to know these people, you would understand, you would emote, you would feel what they're feeling, and you'd be more empathetic. Well,
Do you think that your upbringing influenced your political views?
of course, but my question to you is,
Me too.
do you know small business owners, any of them?
Yeah, we argue a lot.
Okay. I know a ton of them because I do this for a living. And
Mhm.
I would say over my 20 years of working with small business owners, when I say small business owners, I'm going up to net worths of, let's say, 100 million. That's still small.
That's pretty big.
That's getting close to medium size. But with the exception of maybe one or two out of the thousands of business owners I've worked with, they're upright, honest people who care about their employees, care about their business, and want the best for not only themselves, but for their employees and their customers that they're selling to.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So when you have this idea that someone who's highly successful is probably evil, or
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
well, no, that's a nice trite thing to say, but I mean,
I just mean that's not a good argument for why they're not doing net harm. They're not evil themselves. They don't believe that they're doing bad. They're trying to do good. And
would you
selfishness
say the
is part
United
of that.
States leans more capitalistic than most other countries in the world?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say that, would you rather live somewhere else than where you live today?
I think so, yeah. I'm a dual citizen of France.
Okay. So you'd rather live in France than the United States?
I think so.
You think
I
so?
haven't- I haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, I'd have to live
Have
there
you
for
been
a
to
while
France?
see what it feels like. Yeah, a few times. Months at a time.
So where are you leaning right now? Are you leaning like 60% France, 40% United States, or where you rather
Well,
live?
after they overturned Roe, I was pretty just frightened for mostly women, also just everybody. And that sort of put me over the edge. that
Why do you
I have a
think
plan at some point to leave? Sorry.
Why do you think so many people from around the world, like when I got my citizenship, I don't think there was anybody from France there, but there was some.
Same reason Paul wrote Paul: wealth, money, and power.
And freedom, protection,
Yeah,
safety.
I think we have some important protections.
And like there's
So, what percent of the world's population lives in the U.S. though?
what percent? I don't know. What is it?
Test time, Doug.
4% is my, without doing.
Yeah,
Is that?
you are correct.
Okay.
That's very good.
Thank you. And I didn't look it up.
Oh, I also wanted to know what your hard science degrees were.
Chemistry, analytical chemistry, and then I have a business degree.
Oh, sweet. Wait, that's hard science?
No,
No, yeah, okay.
I have
Chemistry.
3 degrees.
It sounded like you
One in
had a
general
psychology.
chemistry, that's my undergraduate degree, and then analytical chemistry is my graduate degree. And then since my dad's a businessman, I was more practical. My uncle was a PhD in chemistry. I kind of pleased my uncle by getting a master's in chemistry, and then I pleased my dad by getting a MBA in finance.
Oh my. I wish I could, I'll tell you
You wish
a
what?
personal story some other time. I wish I had pleased my parents and gotten a engineering degree or something, because making bank is objectively good
But
for
what-
my well-being.
What I was getting at earlier when I asked you
Yeah,
about living in other countries, and like, there's a ton of people around the world who want to live in the United States, right?
Yes, it is objectively better here.
Than most countries.
Yeah, I just can't stand the moral, two-facedness.
Be more
I
specific.
think that our ideals are not just lies, but sort of a comforting cover, like exceptionalism. We are better, therefore we get to sort of
United States
police
is
the world.
Chris.
We sell drugs and weapons
Chris,
to police the world.
Is the United States better than some countries,
In the fact that,
in your opinion?
the well-being of its citizens is higher.
The well-being of its citizens is higher than what percentage of other countries?
Oh, I don't know, 90.
Isn't that a good reason to have this idea of maybe not exceptionalism, but isn't that like, hey, everybody, this is a really
Well-
good place to live?
In historical context, we got our riches off of World War II and then stayed there by installing.
You just
puppet
said the United States is
people
better
with
than
high income.
90% of other countries based on well-being, yet you want to say that we should,
Well,
you're
in
bothered by the idea.
colonial, in the colonial, British Isles, was life better than in India when they were plundering it? Yeah, obviously. Do you want to support the morals of the colonialists? No. That's how I feel about the U.S. I'm morally not aligned, but
So
selfishly.
your main concern is that because of the United States' tarnished history, this is your biggest problem?
No, I'm saying that 4% of the people don't deserve that much well-being, and that we are hoarding. We are taking
Oh.
things away. We are actually taking services, goods, through economic, gunship diplomacy.
4% of the world's
essentially.
population doesn't deserve the type of well-being it has.
That is correct. Yeah, greatest good Spock said it.
Do you have a degree?
Psychology,
How'd you do?
undergrad. How did I do?
Yeah. Did you get good grades?
No, I went to Princeton, so I got terrible grades. It was shocking. I was a little fish in a big pond.
How did you get into Princeton?
Good grades in high school.
How did you get good
Good
grades in
writing.
high school?
I did my homework all the time.
You did what?
I did my homework.
That's not fair that you got to go into Princeton just because you did your homework.
Yeah, I don't know about this whole selective school thing. At the time, I was kind of depressed.
Wait a
I
minute.
didn't
You
wanna go.
did your homework.
Yes.
You deserved what you got. Does the United States deserve its well-being?
I don't think that we're a meritocracy the same way that, say, Princeton picks, people to be its. I don't think Princeton is that special a place. It's just a place. To
You
go
see
to
the
school.
parallel I'm making, right, Chris?
Yeah.
How can on one hand you
But-
say you deserved the grades you got in high school because you did your homework, you worked hard, you used the word clever, but still you
it's
worked.
not the work. Yeah.
Do you not think the United States has done things correctly, rightly, starting with its constitution that has led to the success it has today?
This poor guy is nuts. Oh, Chris.
Don't worry about the chat.
Sorry, I read it for the first time. I was saddened. Yeah, I think that there's a more sort of mature viewpoint you could come to once you have the power and the wealth, which is we ought to redistribute this to people who are really suffering today. We could alleviate so much suffering today.
That's a different
if we would-
issue. I'm asking you about you made the comment the United States does not deserve, because it's only 4% of the world's population, does not deserve the wealth.
I
it
don't
has.
think we did the homework in the way that I did my homework in high school and got me into a prestigious college or whatever. I think that we have plundered and beaten down other competing economic
Who did
systems.
Microsoft plunder? Who did Google plunder?
Well, our tax policies are what makes them able to kind of plunder. Obviously, there's been a lot of,
Oh, you're saying we're plundering
smart
ourselves?
people.
I'm talking about.
No. Our ability to have a lot of money without it being taxed is plunder upon the central government and the lower, economic classes and the rest of the world more than even that. Just because we amass the wealth doesn't mean that we ought to have it. I don't think amassing the wealth is the same as doing your
Just
homework.
because you got A's in high school doesn't mean you ought to have it. Just because you did your homework and worked hard in high school doesn't mean you deserve an A.
I think that we don't need to be a pure meritocracy individualist society. I think we can be a collectivist society where we value the good of people we've never met. I also wanted to ask you another
Why
question.
do you think those are two separate things? Why can't you have a leaning capitalist society that gives and helps people? They can't. You can, right?
Yeah, we're just not really doing that at all. We
The
sort
United
of
States is not a giving country.
we do give more than any other country because
What's
we have
that?
the most. Yeah,
We give more than any other country. Is that true?
we do.
What's the
We do a
problem
lot of-
you have now?
we-
I mean,
Okay, so we do a lot of good, but the bad I think is astronomically higher than the good upon the rest of the world
the bad is greater than the good.
that we have done to the totality of the human population. I mean, we've polluted more. Do you understand climate change well?
Well, yeah, I understand that United States pollutes, yes.
Do you think that we deserve to pay more of the reparations for the damage we're doing to the trillions of people in the future who won't be able to live?
Yeah. No. Because I
Interesting.
don't think climate change is going to be a very bad thing.
Ah, okay. I could point you to some sources there where people
I can point you to some
can
sources too,
explain to
buddy.
you very
Sorry, I shouldn't call you
well
buddy.
how there's no, I'm your buddy.
Right
We went
back
to
at
separate
ya.
schools. Yeah, no, I mean it's locked in. There's nothing we can do to prevent
There's nothing we
massive
can do, so
biosphere collapse.
there's nothing we can do to prevent it, so we should do stuff.
Oh, we should do as much as we frickin' can because there's going to be a huge collapse where billions of people die because we don't have enough food, because the bacteria in the soil has died, because biodiversity has collapsed, because
When is this going to happen?
temperatures have changes in the next 200 to 500 years.
200 to 500 years.
Yeah.
200 to 500 years from now.
Mhm.
And so we should start giving, the United States should start giving away money now to other countries.
Well, that might be a bad thing in the short term because they're going to burn more carbon and release more methane and do all the environmental destruction. that
So we
people
shouldn't
don't
give
have
money to other countries.
But in the long run, I think raising everyone up equally produces a society where people understand the greater good in the future. It's a long term. I'm a long termist.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not like that philosophy?
No, I just think that you're a highly empathetic person. I think you're very compassionate, but I think your compassion blinds you. I think that there's something in your core that says it feels bad that person worked hard and got a lot, and that person maybe worked hard or maybe didn't and got little.
Well, we can make objective-ish moral
And so
judgments.
your whole thing is we need to force those people who have succeeded to give money to those people who didn't, right?
I think we need to, yes, but that's painful. And I think that we can develop an education system scientifically that makes people more likely to want to give their
Education retraining camps.
very well. I mean, over a long period of time, I think we can scientifically develop a way to get humans to be motivated differently, not by self-interest as much as, the joy that comes, the inner harmony and peace that you get from realizing you're helping the future out.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you that you can get joy. It feels good to help the world, to help a person. But let me ask you this. What do you think helps a person more? Or what would bring you more joy personally? Let's say I was struggling. Let's say I needed food just to eat. I'm hungry. But you live far away, and so you have to send me money. And so let's say you were to Venmo me right now or PayPal me right now. So I could, after this live stream, go get some food. So let's say you Venmo me. I look at my phone. I see, $100 from Chris. And you see the joy on my face. I can finally get some bologna and some bread, and I can eat. And I say, thank you, Chris. I mean, I just really needed this. Okay, so that's scenario one. You feel good. You see me. Here's scenario two. You're a business owner. You make lots of money. You pay taxes. The government gets your tax money, and then they send me a brown envelope or a credit card, a debit card, or a food stamp so I can get food. Which makes you feel better?
Well, I would get a personal gratification from sending you $100 personally.
Ding, 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 ding. This is what
Yeah,
compassionate
that's how
conservatism
people
is.
motivate. That's how people sort of judge, what is morally good. If you
Why
show two
should
starving
we-
orphans on a poster versus one, they will donate more with the one because
Chris,
if you focus on one person, you feel better.
I
about
know,
yourself.
and in the communities we have neighborhoods, where one person's focusing on one person all the time. But Chris, you have just, I think I have just explained to you why people like me exist, because it is better for many reasons to give to people who are in need directly as a neighbor, as a friend, versus giving it to a government who then takes a cut. They're the middleman.
I think our government is awful. Yeah.
And then sends cash to those who need. Now, I'm not saying you should get rid of it. I do think that it is needed in some cases. But I say I prefer the first case. And you said you prefer the first case. So welcome to
Well, I
conservatism,
only prefer
Chris.
it in that it makes me feel good. I don't think that it's a moral good for me alone to feel good. I don't think I'm that important.
But you just admitted also that why have the middleman? Let's cut it out. Why the inefficiency? It is much
Because
more efficient for you to
that's
send me money
anarchy.
than for you to send the government money, than the government sends me money.
That's anarchy, saying
No.
send money to whoever you want. You need a system. You need a centralized power to
You
redistribute
need a
wealth.
system. You need a centralized power. Look at this talk. All you need to do
mean-
is send money to someone in need.
No, I mean, not to the US government. We're going to spend it on missile development. But a hypothetical better government, a commie state in the future that's not being actively suppressed by the capitalist powers of the world. I don't think socialism has ever been done. I think they tried, and they got some psychopaths running the show.
Was-
I have lefty friends who think Stalin is a good person, and I think they're fucking nuts. but I think that we should go towards
Yeah,
socialism.
he killed a lot of people. Oh, thanks for coming on, Chris.
Certainly did. I enjoyed it. I'll come on again sometime.
Take care.
Take care.
Oh, Flamio will tell us what he loves about America. What do you love about
Yes,
America?
well, lots of things. Lots of things I love about America. First of all, I love our military. We have the strongest military in the world. We're so strong that a balloon was an emergency. How good our defenses are. A balloon. Some old road systems. We made cars, and we have a road system stretching all the way across the country. Sure, a couple parts, we have potholes in a couple cities, but that's a city.
Is there
part.
any country in the world you'd rather live in other than the United States?
I need to explore more, but right now I don't know. Third of all, I love our just freedom to express ourselves. I mean, Japan, they had to pixelate the porn. We don't have to do that here. We don't have to do that here because we have freedom of speech in our constitution. They don't. Third of all,
Did you
both of
say
all,
the phrase "pixelate their porn" on my show?
yeah. Yeah, they have to do that. We don't have to do it because we're Americans. Fourth of all, within 10 miles of my house, I have like 12 parks to go to, 12 state parks to go to within 10 miles.
Yeah.
What
What
other country has that?
I'm married, right, Flamio? But my wife,
Yeah,
my wife and I were.
Yeah, I know. And she's Christian too, but she's still married.
But we're
to you.
both
It's not a
very
big deal.
conservative, and so like when we have coitus, I actually have an iPad I put in front, and it pixelates my. I keep my private parts pixelated all the time.
Yeah. You're not that conservative. You're not missionary only. That's crazy. You don't have to do that in America anymore. You don't have to do that. You're in America now.
You mean I can? We can do reverse cowgirl?
Yes, you can do reverse cowgirl now. Yeah.
Cowboy?
Yes. It's an actual position.
But tell me, no, but doggy's off limits, right?
No, it's not off limits.
I think it is for conservatives. Because that's, it's not, you can't see each other's face. It becomes impersonal. How did we start talking about this?
Because in America we're allowed porn, and other countries they don't allow porn.
I know. Yeah. I was being sarcastic, Flamio.
Yeah.
Okay, so you love America. I love America.
Yeah, shipping's fast too. I rent the slow shipping. It got to me in like 2 days.
Yes.
And like in a lot of other countries, you gotta wait weeks to get stuff.
The thing is, there's people in other countries who they go to the shopping mall and they want to buy, let's say, a dress, and they got like 3 choices. But in our country, you got thousands of choices of dresses.
Yeah, and I didn't go over our supermarkets yet. We have giant warehouses for all kinds of choices.
Yeah.
The socialists don't get that. They don't get that. We do. America does.
Yeah. No, it's a great country to live in. It's the biggest economically. It's the biggest militarily. It gives the most, as our other caller says, gives the most of any other nation. It has beautiful.
We invented cars.
It has what?
We invented cars. Ford, remember him?
Yes, we invented cars. I can say we now because I'm an American.
Correct.
We invented almost everything good in the world.
That's true.
The internet, Al Gore made it, so.
Yeah, I guess it was an art, but I need to double check.
The atomic bomb.
Yes, we had it first.
Yeah, well, with some European help.
Yeah, but they came to America.
Yeah, they came to America to do it. Yeah, it's like once you.
Yeah.
It's like the promised land. Once people come from other countries to the United States, and there's something about it when your feet touches American soil, the innovation juices light up in your brain, and things start to get built and made and innovated. It's amazing.
So what super weapon are you gonna build for America? You don't have to say if it's classified.
Yeah, of course it's classified, but
There you go. We can't talk about it because America.
Canada only invented basketball and the arm that goes on the space shuttle.
You mean they didn't even invent hockey? They didn't even invent
No,
hockey?
hockey was not invented. Well, who invented hockey? It's probably some Nordic type nation. Yeah. But anyhow, thanks for coming on, Flamio. Always fun to talk to you.
Yep, thank you.
Chris wants back on, but I think we'll wrap it up here. I think we need to end this with a good cry.
You can't make money off your property, and I'm like, I agree with that. And it also sucks if you're the squatter, because I mean, what's going to happen to your credit score when you're not paying your rent? What's going to happen when you go to anywhere else to try to rent a place, and they are going to go, oh yeah, you have terrible renting history. You're never going to be able to rent again. It doesn't help anybody. All it does is just hurt the person has the place that they're offering to rent. It doesn't actually.
Planned Parenthood, right here.
That's so funny.
Anyhow,
well,
am I going to see you in a few hours of poker?
Yeah, I'll hop on sometime tonight. I'll probably only do the tournament because being one of the people who are poor, I can't lose that much money to you, Doug. You know, it causes fights in the house.
And your mom?
Yeah, they have money, but they wouldn't give it to me. I mean, when I was 18, you know, they said, here's a suitcase. Are you moving out yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I do think that's the one thing, like your daughter has a really good deal. My sisters have a really good deal. My sister is 23. She still lives at home. I'm like, wow, I wish I was living at home. Well, actually, I don't wish I was living at home when I was 23, but it would have been nice to be financially dependent on somebody still when I was 23.
Yeah. Bringing kids into the world is a big responsibility. And,
yeah.
And it doesn't have to fall all on the parents' shoulders, but it should go parents, grandparents, immediate relatives, friends of family, then government. I mean, it's circles going outwards.
So I guess what we should do is just make a law. If you have a kid and you can't afford it, we kill you.
That's a great start.
That'll solve that problem real quick. But then I think there might be new problems now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe I wouldn't be for that.
Harsh. Just sterilization after the third one.
So
3 strikes.
Wait. But no, I understand why for the parent that might be fair, but don't you think for the 3 kids that's still a raw deal? It would lower the problem, but I don't think that solves it, right? You still got 3 kids that can't get supported.
Yeah, I know.
It's just slowing it down. So I guess one generation we do 3, then the next generation 2, then the next generation, if you have 1, then we kill you. You haven't learned from the past. This was an incremental thing. You know, every 30 years they're changing the law.
But I have hope for the future because of what you said too. Like birth rates are dropping. People are realizing that, hey, maybe it's not good just to pump out kids to get checks from the government. So I have hope for that. But then the new problems are arising.
Well, don't you think, even that statement, don't you think that people were having kids and they couldn't afford them and then the government came up with the check thing? Like it was a problem even when the government wasn't paying for it.
Yes, you're right. But then it has this weird feedback loop of incentivizing bad behavior.
So, but I mean, do you think that's weird? You don't think someone wasn't like, oh, this could be a problem for us. I didn't see it. Like, why wouldn't it? I guess for me, I just don't interpret that as an accident.
Happens all the time in government. They go, they have these good intentions, and the results don't matter because, well, we had good intentions. We want to help. And then
I think this is a big difference between us because I a lot of times see outcomes and then I try to judge by the outcome what the input was, and then that's when I'll make my predictable test. So like if I saw the government did this thing and it didn't actually help people, then I would go, okay, well what would my next prediction be? I bet you the government's going to do the same thing, make another problem for people that's unintended side effects of whatever they pass, and then that's what happens.
Yep.
So I hear you're saying it is unintended. It's just that they're all boobs. None of them are smart enough to figure out what's going on.
Well, some of them do, and they warn against it. And some of them are wrong. It's like none of us can see the future, but like
You don't think anybody, but don't you think that there are a majority that profit off of it? Like if we look at a government official and you see how much money they had in their bank account before they became a government official
yeah,
and
yeah.
how much after, it's more.
Yeah, I think it should be illegal for politicians to get in the stock market. But look at
I agree.
COVID is a great example of checks going out, PPP loans forgiven, all this stuff, and now we're
Right.
we're reaping the unintended consequences of that, called inflation.
But see, how do you think that's unintended? You don't think anybody had the foresight to think, oh, if we give out free money, there's going to be
Yes,
inflation?
People had that foresight. Yep.
So then why is it unintended then? Just because you think they didn't want it?
No. I'm saying some people warned that this would happen, but other people said, well, it may happen or it may not, but we're going to go forwards anyhow because we shut everything down, so we have to pay them for not going out into the world and transmitting COVID.
Okay. You don't think that they said, hey, we know that this will happen, but it's not going to hurt us. It's just going to hurt the poorest of America, so let's just do it anyway?
No. But anyhow, I got to let someone else on here. We'll see you in a few hours.
Okay. Yeah, take care. Bye.
See ya. Turd.
Hey, long time no hear, Pine Creek. And congratulations on your new identity as an American.
Thank you very much, sir.
I heard your transition went well. And I just want to tell you, even though you identify as an American now, it's really all in your head. You're always going to be a Canadian.
You're hurting my feelings.
I'm just teasing about that. Objectively speaking, what makes you an American, you know?
I got a piece of paper with my name on it that you can touch, feel, and smell. That's objective.
Well, yeah. In all seriousness, do you get new pronouns with that piece of paper that say that you're American?
Yeah.
No.
What are my pronouns now? Patriot.
Patriot. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
What do you love about America?
Well, I like about America that I don't get tortured here and I don't get accused of crimes that I didn't commit, like some people in my family have been in other countries.
Which countries?
And they've now come to America where that doesn't happen. So that...
Can I ask which
well,
countries?
It does happen in America. Some countries in the Middle East that are now in a rough spot, let's say. But part of the reason that they're in a rough spot is because of America's actions. So I have mixed feelings about that, where on one hand, it's very nice to live in America, where I get to live in relative peace. And on the other hand, the family that I've left behind in the country that they used to live in, and many of them still do, is disrupted by American government actions and American
Yeah, there's no doubt.
actions. So
I have to mute you because I'm getting feedback. There's no doubt that there's been many bad things the American government has done in foreign policy, but would you say overall throughout the history of our nation, do you think America's been a net good or a net bad?
gosh, that's a great question. Ooh. I mean, that's a very difficult question to ask. If I were to put myself as like supreme dictator of the American military, I think I would have done better. But that's obviously not reality, right? Let me say we're, as America, we're probably better than if the Germans had won in World War II. I mean, in the words of Norm Macdonald, every time I hear about this Hitler fellow,
The more I don't care for him.
I don't like him. I don't care for them. Yeah. The things that the Japanese did in World War II are terrible. And the things that the Americans did are also terrible. In Japan, the firebombing of Tokyo, the dropping of atomic bombs, they're horrible too. But if you were to compare what the Americans did with what the Japanese did, probably what the Japanese did is way worse. What the Germans did is way worse. So just comparing what happened 80 years ago from America's enemy versus America's actions, no, they're way worse.
Some people would.
So that
Some people might say that the reason why the Japanese make great automobiles like Toyota today is because of the Americans.
yeah, possibly.
Because after the war,
I-
World War
I
II,
would
they helped
say-
rebuild, and it was like a whole new, fresh start of innovation.
Yeah.
Look at North Korea and South Korea. North Korea, Americans have not impacted. South
Yeah.
Korea make the best, most popular phone other than an iPhone, Samsung, right?
And I wish the way that America acted around World War II and right after World War II is the way that is much more noble than the way they act right now. Like the way one of the previous callers was talking about how America is not very moral, and in some ways is moral. Like I resonate with both of those views because I see that in my own former country where I used to visit, and it's very sad what's happened there. Like I'm originally from Syria. My family's from there, and it's.
When did you become
it's
naturalized?
I was born in the States. I should say my family is from there. I was
Okay.
born in the States. But I traveled there. I moved there a little bit of my life. I have friends who grew up there. And I've heard some horrible horror stories there. And I just feel like the best thing America could have ever done is just leave them alone and just don't pretend that, try to bring democracy to other people, try to help other people out, or pretend that you're trying to bring American
Well, that's how George
values
W.
to the rest of
Bush-
the world, like George W. Bush was trying to say.
Yeah, that was just said
Like,
that.
we all know that's not real. Even John. And the end result of that is 1 million people who have died. 100,000 of them were killed directly with by Americans, and a lot of them were civilians, and it's just horrifying, and the media doesn't talk about it here either. So it's hard for me to be 100% patriotic about America, even though I was born here in the States, and even though I appreciate so many things here, knowing the other side of the equation. And I really sympathize with people who love America, and I really sympathize with the other side too. I don't know if you have any questions though.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you that I have to mute you. That America has probably most definitely put their nose into foreign affairs where they shouldn't have, and that they'd be better off not doing so in the future. The thing is, can you imagine the chaos that would erupt in the world if the United States says, unless you cross our borders, we don't care what you do? Like, the world needs the United States as the Rock, the Dwayne Johnson of the world that will exercise justice when it's needed. And the question is, when is it a just war? When is it really needed? Those are tough questions that are tough to answer. But anyhow, I'll let you go, Turd. It's funny to call you Turd, but that's his name, Turd Ferguson, which is a Norm Macdonald joke from Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Difference between being a patriot and a jingoist. Good word, Dalai Lama. Jingoist. This will be on your GRE test. Define jingoism. America should cut military budget 90% and bring all our troops back and give them houses on the border. That would be interesting. Cut the military 90%. Man, as a percentage of GDP, Canada would be the superpower. By the way, last month, fun fact, for the second time, I think in history of mankind, in our American kind, the interest payment on the debt of the United States equaled the military expense payment. It's only, I think it's only happened twice in history. I could be wrong about that, but in modern history for sure, where the interest payment on the debt is at the level of military spending. What's the big deal, you ask? Where's that interest money going? To those wealthy people who are buying bonds. Because interest rates are going up, debt's going up, because deficit's going up. If you came late and you missed it, we had lots of fun earlier asking quiz questions. Can you imagine if inflation does not come down? Can you imagine inflation was to resurge? Can you imagine if the Federal Reserve was forced to place interest rates at 10%, 12%? Can you imagine the interest payments on that debt? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the squeezing out of funds where interest payments is now the third, second, first largest expenditure of the U.S. budget? Can you imagine it? I can. Because I have a good imaginary. Okay, I'm not taking any more calls. Promise. Just focusing on the chat right now. Let's move get rid of that. Put that over here. If you like capitalism, hit the like button and subscribe. I don't do this on my other channel, but I do it here. Don't be a freeloader. I encourage people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and hit the subscribe button. And if you don't do it, you ought to be shamed for being a freeloader. Especially if you've been here like for the majority of this live stream. Do you think the future is pretty much woke? That nothing the conservatives do will matter? No, the opposite. I think woke is dying. You just go on social media, even Saturday Night Live. Woke is dying. It's being mocked, ridiculed. If you lean far left, you are viewed as crazy. Sorry, people who lean far left here. The pendulum has swung the other way. It is finished. Nothing will stop it. I don't even have to do anything anymore. Dolly, yes, you're invited to poker, but if anybody likes to play poker, if you're a bad poker player but you have lots of money and you want to give some of your capitalistic earnings to people who are more needy, email me about tab on my other channel, and we'll see. Take care, guys.